Yes, mate. So today we are going to be making some mid-tempo synthwave, kind of in the style of the Cyberpunk 2077 game, which came out yesterday. We're going to go through all the steps, including the bass line, the drums, the build, all of that good stuff. You can download the project file and all the samples free. I'm going to be using Vital, the new VST synth. It's completely free, and I'll put the link to that below as well because I wanted to give it a run through. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, give it a big fat like and share it with your friends. So without further ado, let's get to it. Oh, don't forget to watch last week's live stream as well, which I'll link to below. First thing is the tempo. 100 BPM, I reckon that would be a nice tempo. Let's save it. Let's call it Cyberpunk, because that's what we're going to do. And then the first thing we're going to do is kind of design some gnarly bass line, because that's going to give the whole feel of the track. So I'm going to use this free synth Vital, which has just come out. It kind of competes against Serum. So this is going to do huge things in the production community. So let's have a look at this. So first thing I'm going to do is decide on the key. I'm going to write it in D sharp minor. So we're going to be creating several bass lines that kind of interplay with each other. So let's do that. Okay. It's going to sound like that, but sicker. So let's make this first sound. I'm just going to loop that, open up Vital, and I want some movement in it, so that's what we're going to do first. Actually, I'll do a pitch bend first. So I'll make it 12, so that's going to be 1 octave, and then we're going to do this. We will open up the pitch bend, MIDI control pitch bend, and we're going to do something along the lines of this. So it's going to go whoa, kind of like that. And then we are also going to add some more movement using the same pitch bend, but we're going to assign it in Vital to some filters. Get some of that good stuff. So let's turn a filter on and then drag this pitch wheel controller onto there. That's the first thing. That's pretty cool. And then we're going to add another filter and assign it to oscillator 1 because that's what we're using. And then let's choose some kind of cool comb filter, something like that, and assign the filter, the pitch wheel to that as well. Something like that. I reckon that one's cool. So let's do that. So you got that movement. Now let's add some effect to this, make it bigger. Some chorus. Yeah, already, mate. Get in there. Add some drive. It's going to be all about that mid-range distortion in this. Cool. So we've got that. Let's add a little bit more distortion. I'm going to be using the amp, which comes with Ableton Live 10, probably 9 as well, can't remember. Just to add some real nastiness. Okay, the way we're going to add a utility after that, just take the volume down a bit. That is gnarly. So that's going to be our first bass line. Now we want to create the second one. And first I'm going to tap out the rhythm because that's going to be easier, and then we'll work out the notes after that. So that's the kind of thing I want in my head. So let's get another one of these Vital instances. And I'm just going to kind of draw it in because I don't have my keyboard with me. I'm still away. So I'm just going to do it on one note at first. So I'm just working out a groove in my head. And then the second time it goes through, I'm going to lose the last note just to give it some variation on the second bar, like this. Whoops, I'll copy that first one with the pitch bend automation. You can hear the difference that made. And now let's choose the notes for these. So we want to create something that's quite dissonant and it's nasty and it's kind of futuristic in a, what's the term, like a dystopian kind of way. So we're just going to be moving up and down tiny semitones rather than big chord progressions. Do, 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 do. Cool, so now we've got that. Let's shift it down and make our main bass sound. So let's open up Vital and make this really gnarly. Then we're going to do the drums, we'll get some vocals. Let me know if you're digging it so far. Give me a hell yeah in the comments below. And let me know if you want me to do a live stream at some point later this month as well. So let's build up the sound. Okay, we've got the normal sine wave. Let's see what else we've got going on. Add some unison. Add some relief. Yes. Just voices one because we don't want it to be blending into each other. We just want one note playing at a time because it's a bass line. And because it's the main bass line, I'm not going to actually add chorus to that because we want it nice and tight. But let's add some gnarlsome. Gnarlsome is definitely a word. Let's add some of this amp again. Cool. I'm actually going to layer this bass. So I'll create a bass 3, and this is going to be a bit more of a kind of just a textured layer to give it a bit more pluck. But I'm going to put them all on one note because I want it to kind of be atonal. So it's just going to be I'll take this off. Let's have a look. I'm going to browse through some of their presets, see what we've got going on. That's cool. So let's add some more amp to that. See, I'm using like 2 plugins in this track. But let's take out some of the low end. And I'm going to do one more track, which is going to be our sub bass track. And for this, we don't want to have any kind of amp on there. We're just going to be using a sine wave, nice and simple. So for that, I'm going to go initialize preset. And then I'm going to choose a like basic shape, a sine wave, basically. Just to give it the weight. And now all layered together, that's our bass line. Now we'll get some beats going. I'm gonna have to turn the volume down because you can see we've got clipping on the master channel and ain't nobody got time for that. Cool, so we're gonna group those basses together. Don't forget you can download this project and all of the samples too below this video. Let's color those yellow. The natural color of bass in the wild is yellow. So let's just assign those tracks. I want that to be gnarlier, that main bass. Maybe I'll turn this off. distortion within the Vital synth as well. That's gnarly, cool. Let's just put down a bit of gain reduction on that. Now let's get a heavy beat. So I'm going to use an audio track for this, and no particular reason. You could do it in MIDI, but I just want to do the kick in an audio track because it's going to be quick. And let's choose a kick. So we want something really kind of knocking and in your face. Something like, even that's cool. It pays to have a good sample pack. I mean, that is going to be good enough already. So let's just drop that in there. We'll do a kick on every beat. And we're going to turn this down. I'll turn the bass right down actually. We'll take the kick to -10 to make sure we don't have any clipping. And then let's loop that. This is our main loop. And we will be pushing that harder as well. Now let's get a snare. So it's going to be a bit like Justice, the French producers. Just really like, that's kind of cool already. But I want something a bit bigger. I mean, that's kind of cool still. So if we drop that into a drum rack and then we just do it on every other beat and then program it in. Let's get something else though. It's a bit bigger. And we're going to add a bit of distortion. Again, I'm just going to use one of these amp plugins. And let's add that. So what I've done here is I've just routed by clicking this button and this button, room reverb on my auxiliary channels. So reverb, boosting the volume a bit and then taking out the low end with an EQ. And I've gone into my drum rack, and by opening up this, you can then do this. You can create return chain, then you can select your global reverb here. And that means that I can now feed in a little bit of room reverb on that snare, boy. That's gnarly. Now let's get a groove going for after that's repeated a few times. And we are going to be doing a little fill as well very soon. Which I might do now actually. So at the end of the 4 bars, we want it to switch things up a bit. So let's call it epic fill. And I knew a guy called Epic Phil once. He wasn't much fun. Always shouting with massive echo on his voice. I wonder what happened to him. Okay. We are going to stick another Vital on there. I'm just sticking to this one synth. No, I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I just wanted to, I've heard about it on the grapevine. I downloaded it last week, so I just want to kind of get used to it and show you guys, because I think it's going to be a heavy hitter. Okay, so we know that we are writing this in D minor natural. So I'm just going to switch things up. Just a little intro. And and then a bass drop right at the end before the drums come in again. Let's drop that down an octave. And I'm gonna make a little ditty. So I'm kind of just imagining it in my head and then working out what the notes are by singing it. So it's kind of like a computer game, you know, that SID chip 80s sound. How's that? Yeah, that's cool. So now let's just have a little play. I want this to sound simple and like an old school 80s computer game, so I won't do too much to it. And then at the end of that, I'm going to have a bass drop and a drum intro. That's what we're going to do. For the bass drop, I'm just going to have a hunt for a bass drop sound, just so it intros back into, that's kind of cool. So what we're going to do to make it the right length is just drag it in. Make sure that we've warped it. We've got Complex Pro selected. And that's because there are no transients to this sound. It's a smooth sound, so that's why I've chosen Complex Pro. Now I'm going to hold Shift and drag it back. And now it's just a short loop. I'll take out that kick. So it's just a little... And then it goes back into the main bass line. But what I'm going to do is add this snare intro. I'm working as quickly as I can for you guys. I really want you to kind of get into the habit of working quickly, because you'll finish more music and you'll get better quicker. So, I mean, that is cool already. I know we found that one earlier and we didn't end up using it, but it's a nice slap in the face. And who doesn't like a nice slap in the face? Okay, don't quote me on that. That could come back to bite me in the ass. And then we are going to just repeat that 4 times. Really simple. With this kind of genre, you don't want to overcomplicate things. It's all about the processing and the simplicity of the idea. So let's get that something like this. Yeah, just something like that, easy. So this is sick, right? Okay. I'm gonna have to tweak the levels a bit soon. Right, we're gonna get some real drums in there as well. So I'm gonna get a hi-hat and open. That one will do. And I'm gonna choose no release, full sustain, and no decay, so that when the MIDI note is finished being drawing, it stops sharp like that. Like that, and we're going to get a closed hat as well. that one because it sounds real. So it could be the same drum, but one closed and one opened. So something like that. That's what I want. Let's take the volume of that down. I might change that snare a bit soon. Yes, mate. Right, okay, so after that goes through once, we're going to get the groove going. So, and then we're going to do the build, then with the break and the build. So say, oh, we haven't even applied sidechain compression yet. Okay, so now we need to get the groove, the shuffle, for when the drums really kick in. So let's get something with a bit of a delay on the attack. So it's a bit sluggish, and because this is a mid-tempo tune, it's nice to have a bit of a, yeah, it doesn't have to be super tight. So we're going to use this as the 16th hat. And we're just going to repeat it on every 16th note. Apart from when that hat's playing and this hat's playing, just to give it a sense of realism, because you obviously can't play a bunch of hats all at the same time on a real drum kit. So let's turn that down and just bring it in until it sounds like the level's right. But we need some more movement in that. So what I'm going to do is I'll add a compressor after the hat. So you see I'm not doing it after the whole drum rack, I'm just doing it after that hat. Open this, choose sidechain from my sidechain input, which is just a little tick here, which I have in my default template, with the output routed to sends only, so you can never actually hear it. It just triggers the drums or triggers the sidechain compressor. And now let's just work on that. Whoops. So you can hear it's ducking the hi-hats. This is without, excuse me, goodness me. This is with the hi-hats without the sidechain compression. Hope I'm not getting the you know what. Now ready? So it just pumps it. So this is what happens after the intro. And actually we could add a tiny bit of sidechain compression to that bass line, particularly that bass note that hits on the kick, but we don't want too much. This is, hats off. Oh, and then we can have a tom intro for the second time to give it a really like 80s feel. Doosh, 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 like that. So how am I going to do that quickly? I'm just going to find a tom sample and then program it in MIDI. I mean, that's going to do for now. So I need to program in, actually no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that same sample, but I'm going to create a track for it. And the reason is I've got more control over changing the note of each one. So I'm actually going to just do it in audio. Doosh, doosh, doo, doo. So first I'll draw in where they're going to go, and then I'll change the volume of them. Do, do. And then this is kind of, that's all I need actually, those two. You don't want to over clutter things. Use as few elements as you can to get the vibe that you need, and you'll have a cleaner mix, a louder mix. But I'm going to warp this one so I can transpose it down a bit. Like that. Oh mate, that's fat. Now we're going to be using some filters to create some interest in the build. But first, let's build a contrasting part to this. So we're going to just add some time in the front there, and we're going to create like a lush pad that's in this key. And then we'll find some vocals too. Let me know if you're digging it. Give me a hell yeah or an amen brother in those comments below. I love it when I hear from you guys. Let me know what you want me to cover next. And if you want me to do another live stream, because it was a lot of fun last week. Lots of you guys were commenting, asking questions in the Q&A. It was a lot of fun. So I'm definitely up for doing another one if you want me to. I'll put the bass drop in there. Okay, let's get this pad on the go. Let's call it pad. Again, I'm going to use the Vital synth. I'll just save. Let's get that there. Have a sip of water Rooney. Oh, I like Wayne Rooney, but more refreshing. Now, okay, so what you can do here, if you wanted to use my template technique, you can draw in all the notes of A minor natural. So just the white notes from A up to A. And that's the scale of A minor natural. You can then grab them all and then just shift it so the lowest one is on whatever the root note of this track that we're writing is. And as we already know, it's D sharp. So now we've got the scale of D sharp minor. Let's copy it up an octave. Copy it down an octave. Oops a daisy. And then we'll have 3 octaves of D minor natural. It's a bit hard to do it just on the trackpad at the moment, but as I said, I'm away from the studio. So such is life. Oh, I don't even know what's happening now. Anyway, that's how you do it. Then you press fold, boom. All of these notes are now in D minor natural. I'm just going to make sure that they are actually the right notes. So zoom in, grab from D up to D. D sharp minor natural, sorry. And there we go. So we can press fold, and now we can build our pads. So let's choose that as the first note. Now let's build some chords just by skipping each time. So skip a note and then skip a note. So you can see I'm just missing a note each time when I've got it folded. And those are the 2 chords we're going to use. That's it. That's all we're doing for the chord progression. And we're going to add some vocals over that in a minute as well. First, colour it blue. And then let's build this pad. So we're going to build it from scratch. First, we need to think about the amplitude envelope. So obviously a slow attack, slow release would be the first thing. Make sure we've got lots of voices in there. So it's flowing into each other. And let's add some more interest with, let's use an envelope, which I haven't really used for the filter yet on the synth, but I imagine you just drag and drop, kind of like we did with the pitch bend earlier. Yeah. Doesn't need to be super complicated to get a cool pad sound. Now let's use an LFO and let's put it on the same. No, let's put it on a second oscillator, and we're just going to drag the LFO onto a different filter. Again, we're going to go for some kind of interesting filter like this. Drag the LFO onto it. So it's just adds a little bit of gnarliness, and let's add some unison. Add some hall reverb. Take out some of the low end. And to add a bit more movement, we're actually going to add a, what should we add on top of there? Let's add some sort of phaser, just really slow. I'll use the phaser that comes with Ableton rather than anything else, just so that you can do all of this for free. And let's add that. Add some LFO. Just to make it sound kind of like spacey. I quite like that. I'm just changing the oscillators, listening to it, seeing if I like it. Now let's put a vocal that works well over that. So I'm going to use Splice for this, which you can check out below as well. So if we just put vocal, and then this is in D sharp minor natural. Let's find a vocal. But we don't want it to be cheesy. Oh, cool. Right, what we're going to do is, if you watched the live stream last week, I used this particular vocal from Mark Knight that I found on Splice, and we're just going to use that for this as well, because we don't want it to be cheesy, because this is a dystopian future. It's no laughing matter. Everyone gets locked down, the government doesn't let them leave their houses, and they're all forced to wear masks. This is the kind of future we're imagining in this imaginary dystopian future. So let's make sure it's warped at the correct speed for the track, 124, which means it's going to be in sync now. So choose Complex Pro. So I'm just going to have it so it So I just prefer it starting, from that point rather than what the sample actually did. And now let's do the build. And for the build, we're just going to get the bass line for the first half. So to do this, we're going to add a cool filter. So let's put the EQ8 on there, take out the low end. So that's how we're going to build up. And then we will automate that EQ off on the drop, like so. But to keep the, to keep it so you understand what's going on rhythm-wise, we're going to add a tick, tick, tick on the hi-hat. Actually, I think I chose it in the wrong place. Maybe that's the right place. No, that's wrong. Let me move this again. That's it. So I'm just going to copy that bit to there, and then we can consolidate this sample like so. And actually no, because I want that tail. So I'm not going to consolidate it, but I will just copy and paste it. And then at the end, before the drop, we are going to bring that little snare intro in as well. So this is how we're doing it. We're also going to take down some of the volume in that bass line, so it comes in full power on the drop, basically, like so. Okay, that drum has got a bit too much of the old distortion on it, so let's just bring that in a bit. Just taking... So actually, for that first drop there, you could not have the beats come in. So it's like a false start. In fact, that needs, if you're going to do that, you need a cheeky slap reverse clap sound. Let's do that. Reverse claps like this. So we'll just bring that in to surprise for that first kind of false drop. Make sure that clap is like that, and I'll check this out just for that first beat. So it's all about the interplay of these different sounds without taking up too much space by having them play at the same time. So we want to build a riser into this though, because this is supposed to be epic, this build. So let's bring that idea of having the ticks on there. But it's going to be quiet, and the way we'll do that is we'll just grab them all and take down the velocity like so. That'll be this. Yeah, oh, I know it. So what we're going to do first is all about that tension and release. Let's just colour that green. And then we are going to add a riser now. Again, we're going to do it from scratch. So vocals, that would be purple. I've always got my colouring method. It just makes things easier to navigate afterwards. I usually put them in this order. And then for that vocal, we're going to add some cool delay. We'll use the echo. And we're just going to add a bunch of feedback, and it's going to happen at the end of the build. So it's kind of going to wash out into this big feedback sound. Kind of like that. Except we'll have it much shorter. Let's try that a bit. So we want that to continue on. And when that happens, we're going to bring in that sidechain compressor again. So let's find where we had it before. Let's put it on the vocals, but only on the drop. So just make sure it only comes in on the drop. So it's like that basically. I'm getting carried away, sorry guys. But we're going to automate the volume of the delay because it's too loud before the drop, but we don't want it fading out too much. So you can see it's still going on in the background. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to turn it down again because I'm making my ears hurt. So now we're going to build that riser. I'm going to build it here, and it's going to kind of follow the bass in terms of following that rhythm on. It kind of reminds me of, what's that tune by Nero? Satisfy. This pad's too happy. I might take these ones and drop them down an octave so it's a different inversion. That's better. So that's just a minor, that first chord now. So let's do this build. I've got it in my head. It's going to go like me, like that, exactly like that. I should have just recorded myself singing that. So what we're going to do is we are going to copy that bass stab. Just going to drag up the MIDI to it. Call it riser. Color it cyan. The natural color of all effects. Oh no, actually, sorry, my bad. It's bright green. There we go. So now let's just create the sound for this. The difference is we're going to have this riser, we're going to have the MIDI pitch bend going up throughout the whole of that, as you'd expect with a riser. So let's get another vital on there, and then let's have a go. We want the pitch bend to be 12, I think. And we want some really cool sound, so I'm just going to go crazy, and we only want the high end of it. So I'll put on a filter. Maybe we want the pitch bend just to go up 1 octave actually. So let's do it to here, because then we can do it more later. Let's add some more release. And let's choose a different waveform. That's cool because it's a bit like grungier. Let's add some effects because we don't need this to be really solid and in the middle. It's kind of a background sound. And let's turn it down and just kind of fade it in with the rest of the sounds. And then you can have this riser coming in afterwards to make it just keep on building. So that is pretty much what I would do for a mid-tempo kind of cyberpunk style, Matrix soundtrack type tune, and then you could just like absolutely strip it right back as well for the next part of the tune, all about the contrast. Or you could even double it up and drum and bass it, because why not? Let's try it. Why not? Okay. So we got this. So say you brought it right back down again. So then it's just doing this. And we'll put a filter on the bass. And we will take it down like so. I'm getting carried away again. Just love it. Let me know if you're liking it, guys. So you can take it right down. But this is what I'm saying. You could also, after a second break, you could double it up into drum and bass speed. So let's try that. Whoops. I'm just going to do this really quickly. So then you've got basically two tracks for the price of one. I'm just going to do this really quickly to show you what would happen up if you doubled up the tempo halfway through the track. I think the theme tune of Cyberpunk 77 does this. I haven't played it yet because I don't really have time to play computer games anymore, but I probably will get around to it over Christmas. So let's just put some drum and bass beats in there. Okay, here we go. This is the drum and bass beat that we're going to go for. And we are going to just copy that for this section. Like so. But obviously you need to get some hi-hats in there as well. So let's just copy those, whack them in there. Like so, kind of doubling it up for your money on this one. Let's take off the sidechain compression now from that, what's it called? Closed hat. Okay, I don't know. Okay, this has just happened. We're gonna have to live with this, guys, because I've just decided it's now a drum and bass track, and I'm gonna add some a shuffle. So I'm just gonna go to drum loops. I'm gonna go to ethnic and world and get some kind of shaker. Actually, I've got a better shaker somewhere. I think it's on Splice. I will look for loops. I know I've downloaded one before. Probably this one. Oh no, okay, I haven't downloaded it before, but I'm going to have that now because it sounds like it's going to do the job just fine. So let's drag it over. 70. Okay, let's have a listen. Bring this in. Okay, we just need one little snare and then it's job done. So let's get a snare, drum hits, a short snare. This one, and we're going to take out the reverb from it just by shortening the sample. So you can see it's got all this reverb. Let's just take it down. In fact, we can just make it shorter like this as well. Turn snap off. I don't like the way it defaults to having snap on. Like that's all we need, just a little. And that's so we can add a couple of half beats in. Let's turn off fold so I can see where it is. There we go. Just a little shuffle there. And then you can obviously go back to that first beat. So really quickly, let's listen to it through. I'm going to automate this sidechain compressor to be on when it's at the half speed, but off when it's on the double speed. All right, and that's it, guys. Let's have a listen. That pad's not epic enough. But you'd have it break at the end. Whoops, why is that suddenly stopped? Oh, because that's where the automation comes in. So you'd have some kind of so we take out the bass just for that last bit. That's how you do it. You could do some cool effects here as well. Oh, it's getting to drum and bass. What are we gonna do? There we go. Repeat. And then we'll go back. Riser. Woo! Okay guys, I'm gonna bundle this up for you so you can download it below. My ears are now ringing. You probably shouldn't take my example and listen to it too loud. And yeah, I really hope you enjoy this. Let me know in the comments below. Share with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, cheers and happy producing. Don't forget to check out last week's live stream, how to produce Tech House. It went down really, really well. And until next time, cheers and happy producing.